Alright guys, this build is going to be incredibly fun for you guys to play, especially if you enjoy charged attacks and greatswords. This is going to be right up your alley. This is going to be a level 150 Strength Faith build, our Sanctified Knight, so let's get into it. So the Sanctified Knight is going to play very interesting because you're looking for those windows of time where you can charge up your Ash of War on the Ordovis Greatsword and absolutely decimate your enemy. Not to say that this weapon isn't good with just its normal strikes, because it does have a strength scaling of A, which means it's going to put out some pretty crazy damage, but what you really want is to wind this weapon up and use Ordovis's Vortex to come down and crash on your enemies, absolutely pulverizing them. You can get this weapon, but it's going to be later in the game, so if you're looking to start out the game with this weapon, you're out of luck, but it is going to be located in Azura's Hero's Grave at the end of that dungeon after you kill the Crucible Knights. It's a very difficult fight if you're not using summons, but if you can manage to pull it off, this weapon will be yours, and you are not going to be disappointed. With a physical attack of 262 plus 356, this weapon is going to hit like a train, and we also have a little bit of holy damage in there as well at 169 plus 56. With a strength scaling of A dex scaling of E, and a faith scaling of C, you're going to have a really nice build here of strength and faith, and it's gonna produce a really good amount of damage for you. If you want to wield this weapon, it's going to be strength at 25, dexterity at 13, and faith at 15. So overall, just 3 attributes you need to put points in, but the majority of people have 13 dex, so really we're going to be focusing on the strength and faith in this build. So let's focus on the Ash of War, because that's the main reason to use this particular weapon. This Ash of War is going to produce physical damage and holy damage, and it's also going to deal 30 stance damage, meaning it's going to make people break their stances a lot easier for you, causing staggers and then allowing you to get some criticals off. It is a chargeable skill, and you can buff the holy damage, which we're going to talk about once we get to the talismans, and I highly recommend that you play around with this weapon because there's a lot you can do with it, and it is very, very fun. Speaking of buffing the Ash of War, let's move right into the talismans. We're going to be using a grouping of talismans that synergize incredibly well with this build. I put this exact build out on TikTok not too long ago, and you guys absolutely loved it, so I figured I would bring it over here to YouTube. So starting off in our talisman slot number 1, we have the Godfrey icon. This is going to enhance your charge skills and spells. What that means is we are going to get a 15% damage increase to charge spells and skills, and guess what? Ordovis's Vortex on our Ordovis's Greatsword is going to be a chargeable skill, which means we're going to add 15% damage to that, making it hit like an absolute train. And just so you guys know, I am going to be telling you where to get every single one of these talismans after I get through our talisman segment. Moving on to talisman number 2, we're going to be using the Warrior Jar Shard, but you really want the Shard of Alexander here to get that 15% damage boost to your skills, which is also going to stack on top of Godfrey's icon, allowing Ordovis's Vortex to hit really, really, really hard. I only have Warrior Jar Shard here because I have not played on this character all the way through Alexander's questline. However, once I do that, I will swap this out for the Shard of Alexander. And now for our slot number 3 talisman, we're going to be using the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. This is going to enormously boost your physical damage negation, meaning you're going to take 20% less physical damage from enemies and bosses in this game. This is a really great quality of life talisman to have. I'm sure you guys have seen that in some of my past builds. I typically use this when I need some kind of quality life. You can swap this out if you want to and you don't care about the damage negation, and you can use Erdtree's Flavor +2, which is going to raise your maximum HP, stamina, and equip load, but I enjoy taking less damage in this game, which is why I always choose the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. And for our 4th and final talisman, we are going to be using the Old Lord's Talisman. This is a new talisman for me. I've never put this in one of my builds, but because we are going to be using some buffs and some heal over time spells, this is going to be excellent for us. The Old Lord's Talisman is going to extend the duration of our spells by 30%, which is a massive chunk, and you're not going to have to worry about rebuffing every time you're in a fight multiple times. It's just going to be a 1 buff, go in, kill the boss, and it's going to last pretty much the entire time that you have your buffs on, which is going to make the game a lot of fun for you, and you're going to feel like an absolute god. Now, if you want to find these talismans for yourself, the Godfrey icon is going to be located in the Altus Plateau as soon as you get off the Grand Lift of Dectus, and it's going to be in the Golden Lineage Everjail. Once you defeat that boss there, he will drop for you the Godfrey icon. If you're looking for the Warrior Jar Shard, this is obtained if you don't want to get the Shard of Alexander and wait and do that entire questline and get that at the end of the game. You can kill Alexander early and you can get the Warrior Jar Shard for yourself, which is going to give you 10% boost to your skills rather than 15. Now, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman is going to be located at the very end of the game in the Halig Tree near Ephriel, Brace of the Halig Tree, and it's going to be located in a broken down chapel surrounded by a bunch of pest enemies inside of a chest. And for our last and final talisman, the Old Lord's Talisman is going to be found at the end of the game in Crumbling Fair, Missoula, on the edge of the Dragon Temple rooftop area. You'll know you're getting close because there's a lot of beastmen there, and you're also going to be invaded by Bernal in this location. duration. Now, if you don't care about adding time to your buffs with this talisman, you can use the Sacred Scorpion charm to get some extra holy damage, but overall I have found that this talisman seems to work out with this build better and allows you to stay alive for longer. Now, before we get into the armor set and the flasks, I do want to take a moment here and first off, thank you guys for getting this far into the video, and also if you want to hit that subscribe button for me, that would be absolutely amazing. We are almost at 10K subscribers in 7 months, which is incredible, and you guys have made it such a fun, amazing experience to get this far. So consider hitting that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can know when I'm making more content, and now we can get back into the video. So getting into the armor here, I think we've done a really good job of getting the RP of this Sanctified Knight going in this game, so we are going to be using 4 separate pieces from 3 separate sets. The first piece is going to be the Tree Sentinel Helm, the second piece is the Lindale Knight Armor, the third piece is the Cleanrot Gauntlets, and the fourth piece is the Lindale Knight Greaves. This entire armor set is going to wrap you up in 56 poise, which means you're not going to get staggered as easily, and if you want to PvP with this build, you can do that as well and have a certain amount of survivability that's not going to get you knocked out of every attack you do. If you want to get all this armor for yourself, the Tree Sentinel set is going to be dropped within Azura's Hero's Grave after you kill a few of the chariots. The Lindale Knight Armor and the Lindale Knight Greaves are going to be farmed and dropped from knights in the capital, so you can just run around, kill those knights, and they'll drop that armor set for you. And the Cleanrot Knight Gauntlets can be farmed in Caelid right here on the map, and Cleanrot Knights will drop their armor set for you if you kill them a bunch of times, so that's how you get all the different armor pieces. Now, there's a few more things I'm going to show you before I let you go, but the first of those things is going to be our Flask of Wondrous Physic. We are going to be using 2 tiers in particular that are going to help you get off your charge attacks and also help you do a little bit more damage and stagger your enemies. We are going to be using in our Flask of Wondrous Physic the Stone Barb Crack tier, which is going to temporarily make your stance break easier on enemies, and also the Opaline Bubble tier. The Opaline Bubble tier is going to give you a 90% damage negation, which pretty much means you get 1 free hit on you and you won't get staggered, you won't take any damage, and you can typically get off the Ordovus Vortex if you get hit once on any enemy in this game without getting staggered or knocked out of it. The Stone Barb Crack tier is going to allow you to get 30% more stance damage, and you're also going to do 30% stamina damage to blocking enemies. So this is a fantastic tier, especially since the Ordovus Greatsword is already prone to stagger your enemies. This is only going to stagger them that much farther, allowing you to get off those criticals and also destroy your enemies a lot faster. So I want to go over the buffs real quick, just so you guys know exactly how this build is going to work. The first of our buff incantations is going to be Flame Grant Me Strength, and this is going to give us a 20% physical damage boost, and I absolutely love that. It's also going to last for 30 seconds, but the Old Lord Talisman is going to make that last all the way up to 39 seconds, so it's just a little icing on the cake, makes your buffs last a little longer. The next buff spell we're going to be using is Golden Vow, and this is going to give us a 15% damage boost, and it's going to give us a 10% damage negation, meaning we're going to take 10% less damage from enemies in this game. This is also going to stack with Flame Grant Me Strength, so it's going to give you a 35% buff to your physical damage, which is incredible. And finally, for our third buff incantation, we're going to be using Bestial Vitality. This is going to regenerate 5 HP per second for 120 seconds, and it's going to heal you for a total of 600 HP. This is going to benefit from the Old Lord's Talisman as well, and instead of lasting for 120 seconds, this is going to last for 156 seconds, so you're going to have this long heal over time dot on you for a really good amount of time. For our 2 offensive incantations, because we're focusing on staggering enemies in this build, we're going to be using Aspect of Crucible Horns and the Stone of Garank. The Aspect of Crucible Horns is going to allow you to wind up and charge your enemy, knocking them into the air, staggering them, and then you can wind up Ordova's Vortex and absolutely crush them within 1 hit, and it works almost every single time. The Stone of Garank is just a great range spell that you can stagger your enemies within 3 to 4 stone throws, so this is definitely one that I wanted to choose for the build. And as I put my stats up on the screen here, I do want to mention one final thing. If you want to use a summon for this build and get a buff that will give you more stance damage, more poise, and more physical damage, then you're going to want to use the Stormhawk, and I probably am going to butcher the name, but the Stormhawk Den. This guy is going to do an immense amount of damage on the battlefield, and he's also going to give you a buff that really complements literally everything we need for this build, so I highly recommend him in your boss fights if you're comfortable using summons. And guys, that is going to be it for the video. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end. Thank you so much for being here and for continuing to support the channel. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, feel free to hit the sub button, hit the bell notification so you can know when I'm making more content. I do make videos every Monday and Friday, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.